Ooh-wee. Okay, welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I am Nate, and if you watch my show, you're in my corner. Okay, so today's episode is pretty much a double header. You get two for the price of one. Pretty exciting. Yeah, it's a post-fight show for UFC Fight Night. Mauricio Shogun Rua versus Ovince St. Preux. Post-fight wrap-up and slash pre-fight show for UFC 180. Hunt versus Verdum for the interim heavyweight title in the UFC. So pretty exciting. So let's get started. First thing first, let's recap the post-fight show, or let's recap the main card of UFC Fight Night in Brazil. Shogun Rua versus Ovince St. Preux, or OSP as he's called sometimes. And yeah, let's go down the list here. So let's start it off with the easiest match to talk about. Mauricio Shogun Rua versus Ovince St. Preux, the main event in the light heavyweight division. This fight only lasted 34 seconds. It was the main event. And Ovince St. Preux won by TKO punches, just 34 seconds. Now, I did call this one correctly. When Jimmy Manuwa was originally going to fight Mauricio Shogun Rua, I picked Jimmy Manuwa over Shogun. Then when they announced OSP, I was like, well, he'll still beat Shogun, but I don't know how easy it will be. And I guess it was super easy, because I figured both are tall, lengthy fighters. They're both on their way up in the division. Shogun, he's past his prime. I think he needs to go to middleweight. I think he'll have more success there. So, yeah, Ovince St. Preux found his reach early on and just landed some good punches and got that TKO victory, 34 seconds into the first round. And, yeah, OSP, he's looking good. And that sums it up. I mean, it was 34 seconds. What else am I supposed to say? Yeah, so now Shogun's 1-4 in his last 5 fights, and Ovince St. Preux is, well, he's on a tear. He's looking good. I mean, he had that loss to Ryan Bader, but outside of that, he's been tearing through that light heavyweight division, and we will definitely be seeing a lot more of him in bigger matchups coming up. So that sums it up for the main event of this. Let's get to the co-main event, which was a fairly exciting welterweight clash with Warlley Alves and Alan Jouban and Jouban. And this was, this one was topsy-turvy. It could have gone either way. It was decision unanimous, 29-28 across the board with the judges. A lot of people felt Alan won the fight. I feel like Alan won the fight. Warlley Alves, there's a lot of hype surrounding him. He's coming from The Ultimate Fighter Season 3 Brazil in the middleweight. Yeah, it was the middleweight division, and he dropped down to welterweight after looking good on that show on Team Sonnen. And yeah, I thought Warlley would just steamroll through Alan. And it didn't exactly turn out like that. After the fight, it was fairly darn close. I could see how the judges would have it for Warlley, but I kind of feel like Alan won. I mean, Warlley did get some good takedowns, but I feel like Alan landed some really good combinations to thwart the scoring of those takedowns and score some points on the scorecards for himself. Yeah, so it was back and forth. You had Warlley getting takedowns and Alan landing combinations throughout the whole fight. And that second round was Alan doing fairly decent all around. And it is what it is. They say never leave in the hands of judges. So, yeah, Warlley Alves won 29-28 unanimous decision across the board to get the victory here. And I think Warlley needs to work on his cardio, but he's a talent, and we will definitely see him in bigger matchups as time goes along. Yeah, then also in the welterweight division, we had Claudio Silva versus Leon Edwards. Yeah, Claudio Silva, he's a heavy-handed fighter. Watching his previous matches, man, I would hate to get hit by that guy. Yeah, he won by decision split. Yeah, it was 29-28 on two of the judges and 29-28 on the other judge. And a lot of people felt like Leon Edwards won this fight. This one was kind of close one too. I kind of feel like Leon Edwards did win this fight. He landed some good combinations throughout, and he found his reach, and he was able to really shrug off some of the ground. But Claudio got some good takedowns, and yeah, again, this fight could have gone either way. It wasn't the most exciting fight, but it wasn't a bad fight either, and it was just back and forth brawl. Yeah, so Claudio Silva, he won by split decision, and that sums up that match. Then also in the welterweight division, we had Diego Lima versus Jorge de Oliveira, and yeah, this one was decision unanimous. Diego Lima won, yeah, 30-27 across the board. So, yeah, Diego Lima, you know, he's one of those fighters that after watching on The Ultimate Fighter, I already knew he was going to do well in that season because of his background and his brother being a fighter too, and just having kept up with him and his brother career-wise, that they're both talented, and running that school of his, you know, just really helps him stay in shape and stay focused. And yeah, Diego Lima, he's a beast, and I have high expectations for him. I think he's going to go places. He was a middleweight on season 17 of The Ultimate Fighter, I believe it was, and he dropped down to welterweight, and I think welterweight's not a bad weight class for him. I think it'll be a good fit, and you know, it's pretty safe to say he'll win some matches. Too soon to say if he's title shot potential just yet. There's so many talented welterweights out there. But yeah, he mixed things up throughout the match and just landed some good combinations, and he won by decision unanimous, 30-27 across the board. Good job, Diego Lima. So that sums up that fight. Then, and yeah, that was again in the welterweight division. Then to kick off the main card, we had a women's strawweight battle with Juliana Lima and Nina Arnsonoff, and yeah, this one I kind of figured Juliana Lima would win, and yeah, she won. It was 29-28, unanimous decision, and she just dominated. She dominated every round. She got some good positions in each and every round. And it wasn't the most exciting fight, but it is what it is, and she got a clean win and landed some good combinations each round. And you know, she can do well in the ground game too, so that helps her out. I think that she can definitely be in maybe the title mix, a couple more wins, knowing that this strawweight division is still developing. So that wraps up the main card of Hua versus OSP post-fight show. Now let's get to the pre-fight show for UFC 180, Verdum versus Hunt. Yeah, I'll just go over the last three matches, kind of make this a quick one. I'm picking Verdum to win over Mark Hunt. I'm picking Fabricio Verdum to win, probably by unanimous decision or late round submission. Then Jake Ellenberger and Kelvin Gastelum in the welterweight division in the co-main event. I'm picking Jake Ellenberger. I think he's motivated. He has a good rock solid training camp. He has experience. Kelvin, he's looked good, but not as good as I thought he would. Against Rick Story, it seemed like he struggled at some points, and some of his other matches, it just like he was just pure wrestling in some of his matches, and not a whole lot else. But he's a talented guy, and we'll see definitely him go places in the sport. But I'm picking Jake Ellenberger to win by either unanimous decision or maybe even knockout in round 2 or 3. Then, also on the main card, you have featherweight clash with Ricardo Lamas and Dennis Bermudez. And I think Dennis Bermudez will get the upset here. I would imagine Ricardo Lamas is the favored to win. But I think Dennis Bermudez, being on his umpteen fight win streak, I think Dennis Bermudez will get the victory, squeak out the victory maybe by decision. I think this fight ultimately will be a decision. He's not going to knock out Ricardo. He's not going to submit him. It's going to be hard to do either one. But he can outpoint him and make it a brawl and be technical enough to outpoint Ricardo, I think, and get a victory and definitely be in the title mix in the featherweight division. Well, the winner of this fight will definitely be in the title mix, along with the winner of Cub Swanson and Frankie Edgar and Seaver and Conor McGregor winners. So, yeah, this will shake things up in the featherweight division. And yeah, that wraps up my pre-fight show for UFC 180. And until then, oh yeah, and stay tuned for my post-fight episode of this card coming after the card's over. So until then, see ya.